I don't have a clever intro for this video, so instead I'm gonna tell you to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw here today. I'm also gonna tell you that if you don't do that, I'm certain Culted will hunt you in the dead of night and skin you alive. By the way, I'm only half joking because these are some scary motherfuckers. Nous is the third studio album from this international blackened doom metal band, Culted, a project that I'm not especially familiar with, but I can certainly tell you is frightening as holy fucking hell. I'm honestly not sure how to explain that horrific bullshit with my own words, so instead of doing that, I am going to read a statement directly from their Facebook page. Stating, after years of repeated personal and psychological trauma, Nous was the response. It was created after extended periods of self-imposed isolation and psychic exorcism. Ritual fires of mind destroyed the burden of our collective past. From those ashes, a new beginning was possible. In that beginning, there was nothing, just existential nihilism. But from that nothing, Cult had explored all facets of human endeavors. Nothing was out of bounds, nothing was sacred, nothing was religious. The philosophical, the metaphysical, all were fodder for exploration and contemplation. Cult had embraced the results of those explorations, and Nous is their interpretation using sound. Going on to finish, what remains is total sonic annihilation. So, yeah, if you're coming here looking for a bunch of stupid guitar solos and headbanging riffs, get the fuck out of here ASAP. This thing is so fucking brutal, not just sonically, but emotionally and even psychologically. It is a very perverse and anguished and confusing little mishmash of black metal and doom metal with a lot of avant-garde and noise influences as well. A lot of slow, monotonous, dirgy, almost sludgy guitar patterns, a lot of hazy, mysterious, and genuinely frightening soundscapes, some fucking horrific fucking vocals. Like, my god. This is not for the faint of heart. It is a very objectively ugly kind of record. There are definitely still some problems that we will address in this review, but all things considered, I would feel comfortable saying that this is probably one of the most immersive and ambitious black and doom metal records I think I've heard in a while. The tracks aren't just building on noise and chaos and confusion, they're practically simmering in their own paranoia and fucked up mental and emotional state. The track Lifers, for instance, surprisingly quickly evolves from a very noisy and dirgy kind of almost funeral doom number into a very violent kind of blackened sludge metal track. The guitar riffs are just demented, coated in white noise and static, and vocals erupt from your speaker like some kind of lion possessed by some kind of interdimensional creature. Then there's One Last Smoke, which is a little bit more hazy, a little bit more mysterious. It has a very eerie, supernatural kind of air and aesthetic to it that complements the very monotonous, droning doom metal music quite nicely. Then you have something like Ankle Deep, which opens on something a little bit more softer, a little bit more ambient, and dare I say even heartwarming, with some nice acoustic guitars and some spoken word vocals before erupting into a fucking hurricane of blackened sludge and doom chaos. Pun absolutely intended here, Cult are truly ankle deep in their own misery and shit on this thing. From here on as well, almost as if to signify that at this point in the album's development, Cult had literally lost their fucking minds, the band begin to indulge in a little bit more psychedelic and avant-garde influence. The track Opiate the Hounds, for instance, settles on a very disturbing and earthy blend of neo-psychedelia and dark ambient music, with some very creepy guitar parts and some very creepy spoken word parts, whereas Blackbird almost feels like something that could have been pulled from the realm of a Rancy Pazuzu, albeit with a more straightforward, traditional black metal underbite. You even have something like Crown of Lies, which for a while goes full-blown dark ambient. It even reminds me of the kind of stuff I would hear from the Nine Inch Nails Ghost records, before then unleashing a metric fuck ton of just nasty fucking blackened doom metal. The contrast here is fucking incredible. It was a truly jaw-dropping moment for me. The vocals can definitely be really fucking rough at times, but there's also a real emotional honesty and transparency to these vocals that I don't always find from this particular branch of underground black metal. Like, this dude sounds like he is in genuine fucking pain here. Mental pain, physical pain, emotional pain, metaphysical fucking psychological pain. I don't know, all kinds of pain. You name it, he's going through it. And the sound mix as a whole, I think, is really, really great. It can definitely be a very ugly and noisy record, but there's a lot of charm and humanity to be pulled from that noise, from that ugliness, that works well with everything that Culted is putting out there. It could definitely prove to be very overwhelming for some, very intimidating for some. I totally understand that. I definitely felt the same way on my first listen. But that's not to say it doesn't work. It just doesn't work at first. This album is going to require a little bit more time and a little bit more patience than you might normally dedicate to a regular black metal album. There are definitely little sections here and there that I would edit differently, that I would trim differently, and in some cases I would remove entirely. The cover of Crush My Soul from Godflesh in particular, while interesting on its own, doesn't really add anything to the concept, to the theme of the album, and just feels kind of tacked on. So if we were to remove anything outright, this would be the first to go. But overall, the pacing, the length of the record wasn't a deal breaker. Not for me, at least. I was constantly so immersed in this disturbing little universe that Culted have constructed that I didn't really stop to think, oh man, we've been here for a while. Man, I wish this would hurry the fuck up. If anything, I find myself now being kind of hungry for more. Like, I'm actually pretty excited to check out Culted's other records and perhaps to check out even more Blackened Doom and Funeral Doom that would otherwise escape my attention completely. I would honestly give this a 4 out of 5. I think this is a great record. It's definitely not going to be for everyone. In fact, I can already picture people in the comments going, it's just too long and too dark and too strange for me, and I get it. I really, truly do. This is definitely not an album for casual listening, shall we say. This is an album that is very strange, very perverse, very demented, very hellish, very fucking evil and mentally taxing, and as such, it's not something you're gonna play at the next family barbecue. This is something you're gonna play listening to in complete isolation with a fucking good set of headphones and maybe a very strong drink in your hand. What more can I say, folks? This thing is just seriously fucked up in all the best possible ways. 4 out of 5. Seriously great record. I highly recommend it so long as you are willing to exercise extreme fucking patience. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.